I found a folder on our shared company drive labeled Maya Notes. And inside it was 8 years of my life, documented like a case file. I need you to understand what I mean when I say that. I do not mean she had saved some emails or kept a few work-related records. I mean there was a document 43 pages long that read like a psychological profile of me. Written by my best friend. It started in college. There were notes about my family. About the pressure my parents put on me to succeed and how that made me terrified of being seen as a failure. She had written that down. Verbatim, practically, from a conversation we had junior year when I cried in her dorm room after a bad exam grade. There were notes about my relationship with Daniel, the guy I had dated for 2 years after graduation, the one that ended badly. Sarah had been my support system through that breakup. She had listened to every detail. And she had written those details down. His name, what he had said to me, how it had made me feel, what it had revealed about my attachment patterns. Her words. There were notes about my insecurities as a founder. About the imposter syndrome I had confided in her. About the specific moments, meetings, pitches, conversations where I had felt least confident. Each one catalogued with dates. And then there was a section near the end that was more recent. From the last 18 months. And this section was not just observational. It had headers. Leverage points. Vulnerabilities. Positioning strategy. I read those words and I had to get up from my kitchen table and walk to the bathroom and put cold water on my face because I thought I might actually pass out. She had a strategy. A written, documented, deliberately executed strategy. For how to use everything she knew about me to push me out of my own company. Under leverage points she had written about my imposter syndrome and noted that it could be activated by ensuring I appeared underprepared in key meetings. She had written about my tendency to defer to her on relationship management and noted that this gave her full control of external narrative. She had written about my trust in her and she had described it, in her own words, as the primary asset. My trust in her was her primary asset. I sat back down on the bathroom floor and I just stayed there for a while. I thought about 8 years of friendship. I thought about the night she called me at 2 in the morning because she was scared to be alone after her divorce was finalized and I drove across the city in my pajamas to be with her. I thought about the way she had held my hand at my father's funeral and said nothing because she knew I did not need words. I thought about every birthday, every crisis, every ordinary Tuesday night on the couch watching terrible television and feeling completely safe. Had any of it been real? Or had all of it, every moment of warmth, every act of apparent love, been maintenance? Had she been tending to me the way you tend to a resource you intend to eventually harvest? I do not have a clean answer to that question even now. I think that is the part that still hurts the most. The not knowing. Whether there was ever a real Sarah underneath the strategic one. Whether she had started out as my friend and somewhere along the way decided to become something else. Or whether she had always been calculating and I had simply been too trusting, too grateful, too willing to believe that someone could love me that completely. What I do know is this. She had called me 2 days before the Hale Capital meeting. We had been on the phone for an hour. She had asked me how I was feeling about the pitch, and I had told her honestly that I was nervous. That I was worried I would freeze on the financial projections. That I sometimes felt like I was better at building the thing than selling it. She had said all the right things. You are brilliant. You are exactly what this company needs. Victor is going to see that. And then she had shown up to that meeting 40 minutes early and told Victor Hale that I was an employee. I called Daniel that night. Not because we were together, we had not been together in years, but because he was someone who had known me before Sarah, someone whose understanding of me existed completely outside of her influence. I needed to hear a voice that was clean. He picked up on the second ring. I said, I think I need help. He said, tell me everything. And for the first time in a very long time, I talked to someone I could actually trust. But even as I talked, even as I let myself feel the full weight of what had happened, something else was forming underneath the grief. Something harder and colder and much more focused. Because Sarah had built her entire plan around one assumption. She assumed that when the moment came, I would be too hurt, too shaken, too emotionally destroyed to fight back. She had forgotten one thing about me. I am the one who built the systems. And I still had access to all of them. I had built every system that ran Luma Analytics. The client database. The proprietary algorithm. The investor reporting portal. The internal communications archive. Every password, every access credential, every backdoor, I had built them all. Sarah had spent months making sure the world saw her as the founder and me as the employee. She had no idea that the employee had the keys to absolutely everything. Stay tuned for the next part.